Hey guys, really fast pre-intro intro. This is just a really short bonus episode, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in the actual intro. All I wanted to say here is that the audio quality here, not that great. There's a lot of background noise, a lot of bumping, a lot of stuff that I couldn't edit out, and we need to get better about that. We'll try and do better in the future. Okay, it's entirely listenable. I think maybe I'm overreacting, but whatever. There's your disclaimer. Please enjoy.
Hello and welcome to the Mandatory Topic X podcast. I am the fabulous Tim Trin, and of course, joining me as always is the illustrious
Ken Davis. Today is a special bonus episode. We're just trying to keep our weekly schedule, so we thought we'd do something really short since we didn't think that we were going to be able to have our next episode edited in time. So we care about you people.
Yeah, we care about putting on a good appearance as well. We want to be professional. Pseudo-professional.
We try.
But on that note, though, we have been reading our reviews, and we are trying to get on a weekly release schedule. We're shooting for releasing every Saturday. It's not going to be like that for a little while, because we still got to get sort of in the hang of things, and sometimes going to have some scheduling conflicts. But in general, for any of you out there who like a regular schedule, just know that we will probably be releasing on a fairly consistently a weekly basis, so you have that. Anyway, today, or for this short little podcast, we're going to be talking about the short film KickHeart, done by Production IG Studios, directed by Masaki
Yuasa. Masaki Yuasa.
Okay, you're right. Alright, so it came out in 2003. There was a Kickstarter. I actually don't know that much about the Kickstarter. I don't know if that's what was critical for its production.
It wasn't going to get made without the Kickstarter. This was just a project that Masaki Yuasa wanted to do, but he couldn't get funding for it, so the Kickstarter was kind of a big deal at the time.
There you go. So it's kind of unique in that regard. So for the Kickstarter, it got funded up to $201,000. They wanted $150,000, so they got a little bit more, which is cool. It's got a number of awards. It won Original Design at the Animation Block Party Festival in New York. It won Best Animated Short Film at the Fantasia Festival, and it won runner-up Best Animated Short at the Narrative Competition, the Cutout Film Fest in Mexico. I don't know if that's really... wow, I'm like being biased against Mexico right now.
You are. You're a terrible person. You should feel bad about that.
Okay, at least I'm good enough to admit it. At least I'm trying, Mexico. And then like the people in Mexico are like crying, "We know you didn't mean it. We believe in you, Tim-chan."
The problem with that scenario is that no one would ever believe in you.
Kendall, you're not going to be a motivational counselor.
Called out. To talk about Masaki Yuasa just for a little bit, I mentioned earlier, maybe in a really early episode of the show, I was watching Tatami Galaxy, which is a thing he directed that was very well critically received.
He did a little bit of work on Samurai Champloo, it looks like.
He worked on Samurai Champloo?
Yeah, just like key animations and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And it looks like he did a little bit of work on Adventure Time and Space Dandy, which is kind of weird that he would do work on Adventure Time.
No, that was a big deal earlier this year when he directed an entire episode of Adventure Time. That was all over the interwebs.
Alright, that's kind of cool.
Ping Pong came out earlier this year. That was supposed to be a pretty good show. I intend to watch that at some point. That's the only thing off the top of my head that I can remember he's been involved in.
Cool. Alright, I guess I'll try to give like sort of a very short plot summary of KickHeart. You got this dude, and he is a wrestler, and like the entire thing is very clear about how fake wrestling is. So his name is Maxman M, and he has like this weird romance with this other wrestler named Lady S.
S&M, LOL.
Oh, I didn't even make that connection when I was watching it. But I guess that makes sense, because throughout the thing, he's got like this weird, like he's got like a bondage fetish or something weird like that, and somehow the other wrestler knows. Okay, well, we'll get into that. Anyway, so in the beginning of the show, he's like seriously getting beat up by this lady. I didn't understand. I don't know if he just liked her beforehand, but as soon as she came on the screen, he's falling in love with her, and I didn't understand why, because she was like beating the crap out of him.
Well, he's into S&M, I guess is the implication, but the other lady was also beating the crap out of him, but I guess the difference was she was just ugly.
Yeah, well, she was like horrifically obese and disgusting.
Her name was Vacuum Fat.
Take from that what you will. Alright, so anyway, he like screws the match up because he actually defeats Vacuum Fat, and I guess they were supposed to throw the match or something like that because wrestling is fake. So everybody's pissed off at him at his work, and apparently he's like a nice guy. He helps out this orphanage where apparently he used to be a kid at the orphanage, and then he grew up, and now he's like this cool guy, and everybody thinks he's successful, and so he comes by and he he's nice to the kids and stuff like that, and that's nice. And there's this nun there. She's new, apparently. It's like it's run by religious people, so there's a priest and there are a couple nuns. And it was weird, because I was like, I couldn't tell at the end if that nun was actually Lady S.
She was obviously supposed to be Lady S. That was not even ambiguous.
I don't know, I had trouble following that. Maybe I was just trying to be like, focusing too much on it, and then I didn't really notice or whatever. Anyway, what basically happens is, even though everybody's pissed off at him because the match got thrown, he goes back and he has like this special fight with her. You know, even though she's beating the crap out of him, he gets to this point where he's like actually able to win, but they throw the match anyway and she ends up winning, which is fair enough because they're both basically unconscious at that point. I don't know, it was just sort of a cool, short little animation. It was only 12 minutes, so it's abnormally short for, well, I don't know, I haven't seen many OVAs that are like that. So, yeah.
I don't even know if this necessarily qualifies as an OVA. It wasn't necessarily, like, originally on video, you know what I mean? But
actually, you're right. I guess I was thinking of it differently. It's just a short film.
Yeah, a very, very short film. So the art style is really surrealist, which I don't like. There's a lot of kind of slapstickish-ish humor with just a lot of flying around and doing all this crazy stuff, which looks cool, but it's not funny, and I don't really like it when the laws of physics are being bent with no explanation and all of that jazz. Basically, this movie was not pushing the right buttons to entertain me and my personal taste, though I really did kind of like how good of a guy he was, how he was taking care of the orphanage kids and whatnot. I like the main character, but did I like this thing? Honestly, I'm going to have to say no, but it's only 12 minutes, so even though I didn't exactly care for it, it was still pretty painless.
I thought that the animation was kind of cool. I agree that it was weird, and I don't know. I probably wouldn't have liked it if it was like a really long... If they're doing like a really long series in this style, I probably would have thought it was weird and not really that great. But for what it was, you know, it was short and it wasn't too bad, so I thought it was kind of interesting and unique. I mean, there wasn't that much humor in it, or maybe I just didn't notice. Maybe it was trying to be funny and I didn't notice, but nothing really bothered me.
Almost everything was trying to be funny. Almost every scene in this thing was trying to be funny. I'd say more so than anything, this was primarily a comedy.
I guess they probably failed pretty bad in that regard. But as far as, like, whatever, them doing ridiculous jumps and all that jazz, that didn't bother me. I just kind of figured it goes along with the stylistic sort of weirdness of the show. I didn't really question it. I thought that the animation, you know, for what it was, they did pretty good for a low budget. Like, I don't know what you can get, you know, animation-wise for $200,000, but it didn't seem bad, so, you know, especially considering, well, at the time it was, you know, I didn't know how much they'd raised, but it was a Kickstarter, so I was like, hey, this isn't bad for a 12-minute video. It's not too bad.
I'm not saying that it was bad, I'm just saying that I didn't like it.
Well, you just didn't like it because it was kind of a weird style, not because the animation itself was at fault. That's all I was trying to say.
Yeah, right. Agreed.
Yeah, the animation itself actually seemed pretty good. I mean, you could tell that it was budget, but it wasn't bad for what it was. I also kind of liked the music. It was kind of charming. I guess that's the only way I can really describe it. I just like stuff like that. Like, if you guys have ever played the game... Our listeners, if you've ever played the game Unholy Heights, it has kind of like this weird soundtrack similar to this, and I just like that kind of music. It seems like that's distinct kind of flavor, but I don't know what to put on it. The only other thing that I actually thought was kind of funny was, or I wasn't even sure if it was supposed to be a joke, but when the guy goes back to the orphanage and they introduce this new nun, and they say that she's got a minor in brainwashing. I was like, what does that mean? Is it because she's a nun? Or, I don't get it. I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be funny.
Again, that was obviously supposed to be a joke, but, I mean, I didn't find it all that funny. Pretty much everything in this was supposed to be funny. It was clearly a comedy, and I don't understand how you could say that you like this, and yet you didn't even understand that everything was a joke.
I just thought it was supposed to be, like, trying to be some kind of weird, original, like, I don't know. It didn't occur to me that it was supposed to be a comedy. It's not even described, like, on its little description page as comedy.
What is it described as?
A short anime film that uses surreal animation and storytelling to tell a love story between a professional wrestler and a nun, which didn't even seem like a good description after having seen it, because I was like, I don't know.
I mean, that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what it was.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just tired. Been drinking too much. Actually, I don't drink. You know, I don't like beer. Beer's disgusting. And I've given it a chance, listeners. I have purposefully gone out and bought packs of beer where they let you diversify, so you can buy like 10 different brands. And every one I've tried, gross. You know, I'm actually a fan of Conan O'Brien, and he goes on and on about how great Guinness is. And I was like, well, gee, I should try that. And that was like the worst one of all.
Yeah, it's terrible.
That stuff is disgusting. I don't get it.
It's really bad.
Yeah, well, anyway, to get away from my little tangent, so my verdict is it's cool. I would watch it just because, well, for one thing, you're not giving up all that much. It's only 12 minutes long, and it's just kind of a neat little animation. It's pretty harmless. I don't know how much entertainment value it's going to have for you, but for me, I was mildly entertained, so yeah, to me, that's worth it.
I didn't really care for it, but again, only 12 minutes, and Masaki Yuasa needs a little bit more exposure, so hey, there's that.
It had a kind of cool style. I did like the artwork. I'll just throw that in there. I guess that sums it up.
Okay, cool.
Stay tuned, listeners, because our next one is going to be a doozy.
See you later, guys. There we go.
Okay, and cut.